Pathless Peddlers. Today we've got another shop visit for you guys. This time we're going to take a look at one of the most well-established and well-respected bike shops here in Portland, Oregon, River City Bicycles. So stay tuned for After the Bumper. Welcome everybody, this is Dave, the owner of River City Bicycles here in Portland, Oregon. So for people that have never been to your shop, how would you describe it?
We are a full-service bike shop. You know, we embrace all aspects of cycling. Mountain bikes, road bikes, commuters, whatever, tandems, all that stuff.
And how long have you guys been around?
We started in 94, or actually we opened the door in 95, so it's been about 22 years now.
So can you give us a tour around?
Sure.
Okay. Let's back up here real quick. Like one thing I've always loved about the shop was this bike rack with the locks. Can you talk about how that came about?
Yeah, someone had their bike stolen. we had bike racks out here, and someone had their bike. Someone just walked out with it. So we have the different colored locks here that people can just kind of lock them up.
So if you show up on your bike and you don't have a lock, you don't have to worry about the bike getting stolen. You can just borrow a key from or lock it up and then unlock it from with a key.
We'll unlock it when you're done shopping. We give away cappuccinos on the weekends or weekdays. If somebody wants a coffee, we'll just make them. Haley is my daughter. She's working barista.
Hi, Haley. Let's go to the clothing line because you guys have a pretty cool selection here that we don't see in many shops.
It's been a lot of fun to put together. You know, everybody's got a different idea of what they like to wear for bike clothing. So we try to have as much variety as possible and as many different choices, and some, a little bit more traditional like Lycra things. These are a wool jersey that we had designed here by a group called Anthem Collective, and they're made in Portland.
Is that you guys have like a really rich and unique selection of product? Do you guys do that based on trends, or do you just try to aim for the best quality you can get, or how do you pick the products that you display?
Well, before I was at River City, I had a chain of bike shops in San Francisco area, and it was basically a chain of medium quality bike shops, I guess is the most diplomatic way of putting that. But there was really not much for enthusiasts. When I started River City, I really wanted it to be the kind of store that I would want to shop at as an enthusiast. Probably everyone who works here rides considerably, and everyone has input on the kind of products that we stock and what works for them, and so we feel like it's a very important responsibility on our part to have a store full of stuff that actually does work that people will be happy with.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the bikes that you guys have up for display.
I just kind of collected them through the years. This is kind of an interesting one. This is Defense Industry Row up here. All of the Teledyne, they made like missile guidance systems, and Exxon made, who knows what those guys are involved in. And then Mossberg made like firearms and shotguns and all that kind of stuff. But this is back in the 70s, and they're all kind of dabbling and trying to diversify and getting into bikes and stuff. So this is my first mountain bike. That was like one of the first racing mountain bikes way back when. The Chris King bike, he's in Portland now with what he does with Cielos and everything else. And then Mark DiNucci, he was one of the original Portland frame builders here, went on to work for Specialized, but he really was, they were like one of the first generation of not just Portland, but American frame builders. We do Gunner, which are made in Waterford, Wisconsin by Richard Schwinn in Waterford. That's a very popular bike. This is kind of a cool bike. This is the Jim Mers. This was another Portland frame builder. He went on to work for Specialized, making this Sequoia. Upstairs is our test track. So this is our test track area. Basically, downstairs we have one of every model that we stock, and then up here is we have like 2 or 3 of every model. Try bikes out up here and kind of get the sizing.
So I like these little wood features here.
Yes. Yeah, this is the toned down version. The first one was a kind of this bridge, which actually kind of turned into a ramp, which turned into an accident, and one of our staff almost cut his ear off.
Oh, geez.
The customers are fine with it. The staff just, kind of went crazy.
So let's talk a little bit about community involvement. How do you guys interact with the bike community in Portland?
We do a lot of team sponsorship. We do a lot of Century support. We do rides here at the store. I lead a first-timer ride on Saturday morning. So if somebody doesn't even have a bike, they can come down here and we'll set them up with a bike and a helmet. Like our Willamette Week ad. It's never a product-oriented ad. I think of it as like, okay, this is the opportunity to get a message out to the community on behalf of the cyclists. The way I see it, we have the means of putting a message out to Portland, so it should be a meaningful message.
What's helped you guys stick around? What's your secret to longevity amidst like a sea of other bike shops in town?
Right. It's just being very, very consistent with what you do. It's attention to detail. It's the attention that the staff approach their job with. I've grown up in the bike industry, and I used to work as the third mechanic in a Schwinn store. I would think back then, I was thinking, okay, if I had my own store, how would I run it? What would I do? What would my approach be? And I kind of let that still be my guiding principles.
Bike shops seem to be a little bit of an endangered species, especially the small mom and pop shops. What do you think a bike shop can offer to the consumer still? Like, what's the value proposition of a mom and pop bike shop?
As in any business, it always has to approach that from the perspective of the customer, of the people that are coming in. What do they need? If you're doing everything that you can, if you're really approaching your business from that perspective of the customer, and it's all different, so you have to be ready, with as wide of a range of services as possible. It'll happen. Before I moved to Portland, I had a lot of people advising me against opening up a bike shop in Portland. They told me that the competition was too strong here. There were too many bike shops. They just didn't think it was a good idea. It takes, a really passionate love of the bike industry, of the customers, of the products, of the staff, of just the lifestyle. In
the last 5-10 years in town, have you seen a trend in the kinds of bikes that people are buying or what they're attracted to?
Well, there has been a type of bike that we have been pushing our manufacturers to produce that is just now becoming popular, and they're coming, which is like the Specialized Diverge, kind of a gravel all-around bike. You can put fenders on it, you can put a rack on it. It's still a very, very high-performance bike, and it took 5 years of us hammering Specialized and pretty much designing it to that detail. Said, this is what we want, this is what we want, and they've came out with it, and it's been amazingly successful for them.
To me, as a casual, just bike rider, it seems like an exciting time in terms of bikes, because it seemed to be the case where it was purely like the elite athletes and the bikes that they rode were shaping what bikes that we got.
Right.
But now it's a little bit of like the tail wagging the dog, like with bike packing, bike touring, gravel riding, and everything.
Yeah, the kind of resurgence of bicycle touring has been amazing. Manufacturers in the industry addressing that and making products for that and making it easier for people to do that.
And taking it seriously, because I remember a couple of years ago they'd create what they would call a touring bike and put like a road double on it. It's like the components didn't match like what the intended purpose was.
Well, and we still struggle with that. There are touring bikes out here with the single chainring, which I don't get. I guess in theory, if you look at the numbers, it kind of adds up. But to me, that's not a true touring bike. So we're still kind of struggling with that to some extent. But yes, it is a matter of customers and consumers are more getting the bikes that they really want.
So if someone from out of town were to come here, visit, what's the experience you want them to walk away with?
I want people to say that's one of the best bike shops I've ever been in. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, I want people to say that's one of the best stores I've ever been to, not bike store. I want it to be one of the best stores, because that's how we will survive in the world. We can't just compete against bike shops. We have to compete against all retail experiences.
So thank you, Dave, so much for the tour and the chat about the biking world at large. And if you guys find yourself in Portland, definitely stop by River City Cycles, make the visit, totally worthwhile. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.
I like your bike Centennial.
Oh, thank you.